We've had a really great summer around our house this year, but at long last, signs of fall are everywhere. In the house, in the yard, and even out back where I am harvesting sweet potatoes in my backyard garden for the very first time. In celebration of fall, what I'd like to do with you today is make a pumpkin spice latte with real pumpkin. I am not a fan of sugary coffee drinks, but I do like some of these fall flavors in my coffee. So for this, what you'll need is about 3 tablespoons of real pumpkin, a little bit of maple syrup to taste, milk that's suitable for frothing. I prefer organic whole milk. And of course, you also need pumpkin spice. I got these super cute spice containers on Amazon. You can check them out in the link below in the description box. What's most important, and I mentioned this before in a recent YouTube video about making coffee and coffee art at home, which I'll link below in the description box. You can check that out. But it's really important that you make coffee in the way that you like to drink it. So you can follow along here and see how I'm making mine, but just make sure that the coffee you make is the coffee that you love.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be great outdoors.
Once you've made your coffee, it's time to actually make the latte. So in this case, I have 2 shots of espresso and I threw in the 3 tablespoons of pumpkin. After that, you can mix in as much maple syrup as you prefer to taste. I don't like my drink super sweet, so I don't add a whole lot. And then of course, you can add in the pumpkin spice. And again, you can add this into taste too. I prefer to have maybe a little more of this flavor than the sweetness. Your coffee is going to look a little thick and funky with the pumpkin in it, but that's normal. It will thin out with the milk. And I should also add one mistake I made. I should have warmed the pumpkin and the maple syrup before putting it in the coffee because then my coffee was cold. Next, just make your froth or your milk however you prefer. You could use a handheld milk frother. I prefer to use the steam frother on my espresso machine, but get your milk nice, warm, and frothy for your latte. Easy coffee art at home is one of the ways that elevates every day for me without any extra work. And I just posted a video about using coffee art stencils and making coffee art at home, so you can check out the description box below for that. But on this particular day, I decided since we are finally getting into fall, it is time for a little bit of Halloween and spooky coffee art. In case you missed it, I do make these coffee art stencils out of my home. You can check the link in the description box below. This is one of my favorites for Halloween, but you can go to moonandmagnolia.com and shop all of the fall and Halloween coffee art stencils. And there's also a huge selection of coffee art stencil designs. Yes, that's a middle finger you see there. That you can shop all those designs at moonandmagnolia.com. In the spirit and excitement of early fall, I am also getting together my very first fall garden, and in particular, this is a fall vertical garden using a GreenStalk planter. You can see what it looks like assembled here. I have 4, but I'm only setting up 2, but these are great because I don't live on a homestead and I don't live on a farm. I live in the suburbs, so it's perfect for gardening in small spaces. Each tier of the GreenStalk holds about 1 cubic foot of potting mix, and my bags seem to be a little bit short. Hey, shrinkflation. So I topped it off with just a little bit of black cow. You don't want to use too much heavy manure like that in a container garden. Okay, so then the next step, so GreenStalks come with these trays that go on each of the tiers with the exception of the top because that's where the watering container goes. But so if you can see in here, there's little holes. You can see that hole right there. You want to line the holes up with the pocket. And shouldn't take my gloves off, but hey, little cow poop never hurt anybody, right? I don't know if that's true, but I think I'm going to be okay. So you want to line the hole up with the tiers. So I'm sorry, with the pockets. So that way, when you water, it drips through here and right into the pocket. So I lined one up, which means they're all lined up. Fall gardening for me so far in this South has been a little tricky because even though there are signs of fall, it's still pretty hot at this point. So we'll see how things turn out as we move into fall. But one thing that's really great to grow in fall is lettuce. So planting lettuce in the fall is a great way to enjoy fresh produce and yummy salads as the months cool off. So that's what I'm planting here. A couple different types of lettuce, arugula and buttercrunch. I have some greens such as collard greens and Swiss chard. But on the bottom tiers, I also planted a few types of peas. I'm experimenting with cauliflower. I really should have started that indoors, but I ran out of time. I didn't have an opportunity to do so. So I have a lot of different things growing in the GreenStalk, and we'll see how it goes as things hopefully begin to cool off a little bit more. Okay, so this is going to be container 5 on the top, and this one is going to be a magical mystery container because I lost track of where I was and what I was doing. My brain just went somewhere else. So I have no idea what's where, and I may have double planted, but it's going to be a surprise, which will make it that much more fun. Later that day, I had to have my husband stack the GreenStalk for me. They do get pretty heavy, especially for me. Once I hit like the 3rd tier, it's kind of hard for me to lift. But after that, you just stack them, water them, and wait. In the meantime, what I'm doing here is, again, cleaning the kitchen. You probably have already seen this a lot if you've been watching my other videos. But this time I'm actually cleaning just so I can get ready to enjoy some easy fall baking recipes. And in particular, I am looking to do things that are budget-friendly baking and that also add a little bit of fall vibes into the kitchen. So I landed on a sourdough discard banana bread because it meets all that criteria, but also I have a bunch of extra bananas that I needed to use that were ripe enough, and I also had some walnuts that needed to be used up. So trying to not waste as many ingredients in the kitchen and save a little bit of money and using what I already have. Banana bread might not be revolutionary for you in the kitchen. Most people have probably made banana bread, and for sure, most people have probably eaten banana bread. So this might not be blowing your mind right now, but what I like about making things like banana bread is that they're quick, they're easy. I know what to expect. I know I like it. So I'm not worried about some huge kitchen fail as I'm just trying to cozy things up in the kitchen and enjoy early fall. So here, I'm kind of sticking with what I know with the exception of adding in sourdough discard, which you'll see later in the recipe. But in this case, at this moment, I've added in 3 very ripe bananas into a bowl of a stand mixer. You can measure them if you want, weigh them if you want with the kitchen scale, but 3 bananas should do the trick. Then add in some brown sugar and vanilla. This is homemade vanilla that I made actually almost a year ago, but you could also use store-bought vanilla too. And I always add extra vanilla because it's delicious. Sometimes I measure it, sometimes I don't, but I always add more. Then with your stand mixer, cream those ingredients together. A few lumps of banana are okay. Then from there, add in about 100 grams of sourdough discard. So this is where things start to diverge or divert from where I am used to with banana bread. I will say the sourdough discard definitely adds to the recipe in terms of moisture, but just a spoiler alert, I don't know if it really added much in terms of flavor, but it also helped me get rid of the discard that was sitting in my fridge. So it's great to not waste ingredients. Then add in 125 milliliters or about a half a cup of neutral oil. I used avocado oil, but you could use canola. Whatever works within your preferences and your budget is a great option. Now I'm living the toddler life over here, and at this point I was putting the dry ingredients in, but my little girl was having a tantrum and I was holding her and I thought I hit record and I didn't. So I never got any footage of me putting the dry ingredients in, but I did put them in, and you should too. So you can get those ingredients at the link below in the description box. So once you mix and put your dry ingredients in, what I did is I chopped and I folded in some walnuts because I have a big bag of leftover walnuts from making and preserving walnut basil pesto earlier this summer. But I also think chocolate chips would be good. You could put some cinnamon in, nutmeg, whatever it is that you like. And what I didn't get in terms of putting in my dry ingredients, I did get this sweet little girl helping me in the kitchen.
I'm missing some cupcakes.
Some cupcakes? Are they delicious?
I'm missing some waffles.
You're mixing some waffles?
I'm missing some waffles. I'm mixing cupcakes for Mommy.
Yes, you are. You're doing so good.
I'm having so much fun.
I mean, that just makes my heart explode. It's so sweet. But once you have everything mixed up and ready to go, just pour it into a greased bread pan. I'm using avocado oil here. You could use butter, whatever it is you prefer. Just make sure you do grease the pan so it doesn't stick. The recipe says to bake at 360 for about 60 minutes, but I actually preheated my oven to 350 and baked it for about 75 minutes. I'd recommend for you to just put it at 360. I think that would have worked a little better. And here it is, warm, delicious, cozy sourdough discard banana bread. A perfect way to start an early fall day at home. Okay, it's the moment of truth. It's good. It's maybe a little crispy on the outside, but I'm also eating the heel. And also, Piper wants to have some too. You want some? Excuse me, you just took my whole bread. Anyway, what I was saying about the bread I used to have is that it's the heel, so probably the center pieces are a little bit better, but I actually like my stuff a little crispy, a little toasty on the outside. It's really good. Welcoming fall and transitioning into a new season doesn't have to be stressful or distract you from your day-to-day. Ideally, it can add to it through just simple changes and ways of celebrating that help us feel cozy and warm at home all the time without extra work. Thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel where we elevate the everyday from scratch and at home. I hope to see you again next time. Bye.